so illustrious, tickling keys.
Sancious.
Started in Jersey, young and bold. Played that piano, magic unfold. E Street sound, yeah, he laid the bass. Named after his mom's old rehearsal place. Rock, jazz, fusion, he bends them all. From Bruce to Beck, he's played with y'all. Gabriel, Sting, the legends align. Where there's great music, he's in the design. So if you're feeling ambitious, make some noise for David Sancious.
Hey everyone,
Man.
welcome to TRS. David, that's an AI written song just for you. We pumped it into the AI music maker.
My wife is going to flip out when she hears this. She will not. Oh, it's going to be a trip. So
Awesome.
Yeah, that's that. That's unique. That's a first for me. I've never been the subject of, or even seen or heard a song written by someone else, even much less myself.
You have a reputation as a nice guy, but we were still afraid to play this in front of a professional, like world level musician. Thank you for not hating us for it instantly.
I'm fascinated by it. No, I'm certainly not offended. I'm again, never seen that.
It's fun to play with. I think whenever you play with AI, the world needs to know that it's AI. That's my only problem with AI is when people try to pass off its work for your talent. You should have talent before you claim it, I think. But who am I? I have a talk show. So here's something. David, Frank Zappa once said that writing about music is like dancing about architecture. And I know you know that quote.
Brilliant.
So you're going to outclass me in any talk about music. But one thing I can get along with you is Frank Zappa also said, I guess you only get one chance in life to play a song that goes like, that garage, that playing in the garage. We're going to go back to your playing.
Joe's Garage. You're talking about the Zappa thing?
Yeah,
Joe's Garage.
that song appeals to me on so many levels. And I wanted to talk to you because you've been around the world with your music. Do you still have a nostalgia for that the first times in a garage when you and your friends had no idea what was going on? You were just trying and creating.
I don't have a nostalgia for it in the sense of like, ooh, it'd be nice to get back and do that again. Because frankly, it's a very challenging atmosphere. It's not the best audio playing in anybody's garage.
No. You got a couple of quarts of beer.
Yeah, unless it's, got like, acoustic padding and everything. And so what you're grateful for, what I think about those times is you're very grateful for the opportunity, for just this physical space to set up your stuff and play and do something in, and when you're teenagers and stuff, especially back then. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I met Bruce when I was 15, right? And he's only 4 years older than me. So I've known him and worked with him even after leaving the E Street Band. We've remained friends to this day. Right. I'm working on projects with him, that aren't even released yet, but no, when you're in that stage of trying to get it together, you're grateful for the opportunity to, but I don't nostalgically think, oh yeah, let's go back and do that again. Not really.
I still have this thing. Like I had a great time. Like like, for instance, when you were 18 or 17 or 18, you wrote the strings for New York Serenade. And I just re-listened to it and it's an amazing composition. At that age, I wrote a song about how bad my band sucked. Like we were like, you had a different experience, but we were having a blast and you were at that age killing it. You were
17 or 18. Yeah. What happened was we were in the studio and we had, I think, settled on the basic track, the verse, whatever take it was, take 1, 2, 3 or whatever. But we had settled on, okay, this is a take we're going to use and we're going to overdub on it and build it up to get to the version of the song. And he asked me if I could write a string arrangement for it. He just asked me, like in the studio, to turn me, he goes, could you write a string arrangement for it? And I had never done it before, but I said, yeah, sure,
Sure.
I could. I mean, I had
You
been,
did.
I had certainly been, studying that, I was still, in those years, I was still taking classical piano lessons, and I had a lot of private lessons with a virtuoso pianist. So I was going through the repertoire of classical music, but I was also on my own studying, how to arrange for strings and, how to write for it and all that. So I didn't hesitate, even though I hadn't done it before. It was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then we drove home, and I think I want to get it right. I think we maybe had 2 days off or a day off in between getting back into the studio. Because as soon as I got home, I started working on it. I mean, I worked on it for, God, I don't know, more than 24 hours. I just worked on it constantly. And then I had to not only like figure it out, I had to write it, but I had to physically write it out, for these musicians to read. He had gotten,
Right.
our producer had arranged for a small, and these guys were lovely. They were all music teachers. And I remember we did the session. They were all, it was like after school time. They all got out of to a person. They were all like the music teacher of whatever school they came from. But we had uh, two violins, a cello. Oh, no, it was three violins and a cello. I don't think we had an upright bass player. And I could be wrong, but I wrote it out for that. But anyway, I did it. I stayed up like crazy and got it together, and then got in the car the next day, and we rode right up to the studio and put it out in front of them, and they played it, and it worked beautifully. Bruce had a couple of really good ideas. There's two elements that made that sound even better. It was one, there was a point in the song where Bruce had an idea for a melody, and he said, look, when we get to that, to sort of add to what was already on the paper, it's at the almost the very end of the song, and he sang it, and they were able to, okay, yeah, let's just do that as an extra overdub after it was on. And then our engineer, Louis Lahav, he had the idea to have everyone play the entire arrangement. I think we played it twice in the same octave, so it sounded thicker, like more people. And then he said, right, let's take it up an octave, so it sounded even larger. And they had to just transpose it, the players. So now play everything that's on the paper, but play it an octave higher, if we could. And then that made the whole sound of it, which was
Wow.
which was great.
I love the details and stuff like that. Then I'm gonna go listen to it tomorrow after hearing you talk about it, and just I love like what my suppositions were about what it was like and all these things that you picture in your head. Now with your added detail, like that's what I love about talking to musicians about what they've done. It fills in those little gaps. Like, oh, that makes more sense. So I'm the guy that reads the liner notes. I'm the guy that goes to Wikipedia and figures out who was there.
I can't tell you how much I read liner notes when I was a kid coming up, and that was a beautiful thing. And I think which was lost. They made up for it now, but that was lost in that transition from vinyl to CDs or whatever. I can't tell you how many times I would be cross-legged on the floor in the living room in front of the stereo with the liner notes of anything, And
Yes, 100%.
My father was a huge record collector. He loved jazz like crazy. He loved popular music, female singers, organ players. My dad turned me on to B.B. King, which is really the beginning of why I wanted to learn how to play guitar, because I heard
the hell of an influence.
But all those great records, man, the liner notes, it was like an education. It was like just a mag. And sometimes they'd have great liner notes on the back of the thing, on the vinyl, and then inside on the inner sleeve, there could be more information about
pages. Sometimes it just flip it open, and
it was beautiful. Yeah,
it was great. And cassettes carried it on for a long time. Like you'd get the cassette with the 18 things folded in, and you had to
exactly.
CDs just went for like 2 pages, maybe at best, or they just do the one sheet. And you're like, I get it. I'm glad the artwork's here and of a size I can enjoy, but give me the info. And I missed it. One question I had for you around this time, you have a lot of influences. Was there a point in your youth, let's say before you were 21 or so, that was a wow moment, something that like changed everything? Like if you went back in time and took that out of your life, you wouldn't be you today.
I thought you said wild for a second. You mean a wow moment, like
wow moment
realization. Ask me that question one more time. Okay.
Was there a point in your youth, say before you were 21, where there was a wow moment that changed who you are to this very day? If you went back in time and took that moment away, you wouldn't be you.
Wow.
See?
I'm going to say it was the day that I decided to get initiated into the practice of transcendental meditation.
All right. Dig into this.
Yeah, that was an amazing day because I had been, there's a whole lot of backstory into why I was even interested in the first place, but I come from that, an interest in spirituality and consciousness. And I remember it was in Asbury Park. So I'd known about it, I read about it. And if you remember, I don't know how, you may be a little bit too young to remember it, but there was a period in the 1960s when Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was it was very popular. And he was even on, there was a very popular show, kind of a Johnny Carson type show, but it's called Merv Griffin.
I remember Merv.
And so Maharishi was on Merv Griffin. It was a big to-do at the time because there was no one else out there like him talking about what we're speaking about. Anyway, I got familiar with the concept of it and that it's an actual practice of meditation. It's a technique of meditation. There are many techniques of meditation, but that was my first one. And I remember the day I did it, and there was a center in Asbury Park on the corner of Main Street and Cookman Avenue, right on the corner, next to a head shop.
Of course. Of course.
This was 1960 something, I don't remember, early 60s, mid 60s. And I went up to the center, and you had to sort of listen to a lecture. They wanted to introduce you to it. First, you had to listen to a lecture about it so you understood what you could be getting into, which I had done that, and I decided to, I want to learn it. And I went through the process of being receiving your mantra, as it were, and it's an actual ceremony. It's private between you and another a teacher, someone who's experienced in it. Yeah, exactly. And I came outside, and it was daytime. And the corner of Cookman Avenue and Main Street in Asbury Park, New Jersey, was anything but sort of spotless and clean. It was just like a bit of a grimy, town, the beginning of part of the town. But when I opened the door after going through the ceremony and getting the mantra and meditating and having the experience, when I came outside, I opened the door and everything looked like brand new. It looked like someone It looked like someone had come along and washed everything, but it wasn't. Even the dirt in the gutter, everything was still there as it was. So even the dirty sidewalk and the grime in the gutter, it just looked new and kind of vibrant in a whole different way.
But it wasn't that it was new, you were new.
Yeah, I was new from the inside out. So that was I'd say that's the best way I can answer that question. But that's a good one. I love
that.
No one's ever asked me that before.
Oh, thanks. I like to not ask typical questions. So I dig in deep, and I look for stuff you've said 500 times. I'm like, I don't think he wants to tell that story again. And then I'm gonna go like, if you had 10 minutes to tell your teenage self something, what would you say? Like that level of just like, let's go back and dig, and you can't prep for it, and somebody hits you with it, and I don't know.
Well, was that a question? What would I ask
Sure. I have it written down. I think you kind of covered. I think you would say, hey, check out Transcendental Meditation sooner.
Well, not only that, in a broader sense, I would say that for sure. But in the broader sense, to the teenage self, what I would say is just like, look, have faith, hang in there, okay? Stay with it. Don't be discouraged by when things don't work right, because there's going to be, success in any industry, whether it's music or actors. I think freelance musicians like myself have a lot in common with actors. I really feel a great kinship with them and what their lives are like. You agree to do a film. You're on a film set for a couple of months. Working with a specific bunch of people. You agree to do a concert tour with somebody, especially if it's a major artist or someone. you might be working on this thing for a whole year or more, and then that's sort of over. But oh god, lose my train of thought there. um
10 minutes.
what I would say would be, I was saying that success in this industry is seasonal. You may have a whole nice run of years where you've got job after job after job, you've got a break, you're financially okay, and everything's fine. And then at some point, that kind of regularity of work might drop off for a while. Not forever, but you might have a couple of years where you're not working as much as you once did. You're not financially as well off as you once were, but you're still fine. But I would say to that one is like, look, persevere. Don't be distracted by a challenging time, whether it's financial or physical, because they're going to come. But just, stay with it, persevere, because it's going to. And my older self, knowing that it in fact worked out beautifully, would say to the younger self, it's going to be all right. Just
Good.
stay in there. Just
Nice.
keep going. Just keep going.
Keep going. Awesome. Thank you. Josh, you had a question.
Yeah. I think I've got one that may not cover one that you've gotten before either. There's not a whole lot of things that any of us can talk to you on a level about pretty far beyond us. So I'm going to try and talk to you about something we might be closer
Wow, way to start off with that bar super high there, Josh. I appreciate that confidence. You keep going, bud. I got your back.
You guys tell me when I'm wrong.
You're wrong. All right, next question. Hammer, what do you got?
Ask away, Josh.
Something that you and your wife did when you were still in Woodstock, New York, apparently, was gardening. And
Yes.
that would have put you in the same area as we are, in the same climate as we are. So I'm
Okay.
curious, because I enjoy gardening as well.
Right.
When you were in New York, what was your favorite thing to grow, and what grew best for you?
Wow. Well, our garden was almost 100% perennials. We didn't do a lot of stuff with annuals, that can be great, but it was just the fussiness of annuals all the time. So I just enjoy perennials. And what grew really well in that climate was, well, of course, stuff like mint and all that grows like crazy. But we had several rose gardens, which did well. What else grew really well there? We had this incredible tree, actually, that Sting and Trudy gave to me when my father died. And it was, I'm trying to remember it right. And it was huge. They had a guy brought it up from New York City and had it implanted. We were actually on tour when they did it. And gosh, why can't I remember the name of this? It was super fragrant. I can't remember it now, but it had these beautiful white cones on it. That grew. But
Buena de Noche, isn't it? Lady of the Night. It only blooms at night and it smells.
no, it's a different one. No, this is seasonal bloom, and it has these gorgeous white, like cone-like kind of flowers on it. It's terrible. Anyway, that did really well. But we had, we had tulips, we had roses. I tried in the backyard. It didn't work out because of the sunlight pattern, but I got so into it, and I had all these books on gardening. I had the book that the Queen's gardeners use in England. Is called the something guide to pruning and training plants. It's like a thick thing. And then I had gardening books by Monet. And I tried to set up. Monet had these beautiful kind of mirror image gardens where he would take a trellis and make and it'd be a walkway, right? And on the trellis would be a rose trellis, beautiful, everything and like a big circle, all roses in bloom on this trellis. And on the other side of the garden, it would be the same thing planted, like a mirror image. So you're walking through this,
Okay.
With a rose trellis above you, and on either side, the same thing is like in bloom at the same time. It's very trippy, very, Monet.
I like it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we tried a version of that. We didn't have the right sunlight pattern to make it happen exactly right, but We did stuff
Hey,
like
it's
that.
all about trying, you know?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
learn as you go. I love that.
I did enjoy gardening in upstate New York, though. We really did enjoy that. It was good fun.
I was going to say tomatoes.
No, 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 I didn't mess with tomatoes. No,
No, that's awesome. Thank you very much for answering the question. I appreciate it.
no, pleasure. No,
Yeah.
easy.
He mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the show, and I'm like, absolutely ask that. Like, I want to ask questions that nobody would ask you that about stuff you care about. So, speaking of asking questions, if you have questions for David, please get them in chat. We'll get them up if they're appropriate, and they haven't been asked a billion times. So please, we want your questions in our chat. We'll get them up. The next thing I want to ask you about is when you're writing a song, how do you decide? Or even when do you decide whether it's just going to be instrumental, if it's complex enough, it says enough, or when do you say, I want vocals, I want it to say more? Like, when do you decide you're going to actually have vocals in the song? I'm a vocalist. That's why I'm asking.
That's an interesting question. And the answer is that it comes different ways on different days. It's not like, yeah, and sometimes I do have one song that started out that's going to be on this project I'm working on now called The Ghost of Jim Crow. And it definitely started out as an instrumental, and it's definitely got vocals on it now. So I think the music, it just sort of tells you over time. It's not like I sit down because when I sit down, frankly, I don't sit down with an idea. I just
Okay,
sit.
I was going to ask you about this. Your
No,
writing process.
no. I just literally turn the instrument on and touch it, or just open up the guitar case and pick it up, put it in my hands, and start doing something. I don't really, rarely come at it unless I'm something I'm working on,
Yeah.
But that's a different thing. It's not like songwriting. If I have to learn something or something, I'm trying to sort it out. But in a normal just day, like I'm just okay, I've got time. I'm gonna write something. I just start, and it will kind of tell you right away whether this wants to be just an instrumental situation or maybe this is interesting enough to have some lyrical content.
Okay. Yeah. It's I grew up with an ear towards vocals, and I took vocal lessons, and I became about, when I listened to a song, I listened for the vocals or the words. And it's later on that I started really getting into the instrumental parts or the stuff that isn't words. And I think my graduation of that would be Brian Wilson's Smile. Something about that, like I figured out where words don't need to be.
Right.
And he kind of taught me that. And then I re-listening to other music, I kind of moved on. I'm like, oh, I need to just get my ear away from what I'm used to.
But that's a great example. That album and Pet Sounds and
Pet Sounds.
what the Beatles did. That sort of was an elevation of it brought more literacy to pop music. It sort of elevated it to a sort of intellectually just a notch up. This is not just Moon June, Where's My Spoon kind of song about kids and love. This is like quite poetic and saying important things in a very interesting, poetic way, which I think it elevated again the quality of the writing, of the lyrical writing in popular music.
How often do you hear songs you're like, oh, I wish I had done that?
No,
never.
Like, I hear some songs, I'll tell you what, I hear some songs and I go, God, I wish I had the publishing on that song. Fucking huge.
Right.
One of my favorite songs though, that always touches me, I had the privilege of playing it for a whole year. Was it 2001 with Eric Clapton on tour? It's called If I Could Change the World. Yeah, that is a gorgeous song. It took 4 people to write that song, and it is just beautiful. I got to sing backing vocals on it. On
I didn't know that.
It was in the set. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. So If I Could Change the World, I think it won a Grammy or something. And he's been installed in the Songwriter Hall of Fame himself. But that particular song was brought to him by Babyface, Kenny Edmonds. And if you remember back then, Babyface actually produced the single, If I Could Change the World. and did quite well, chart wise.
Yes, it did.
And the year, yeah, and then the year
They're
that
still overplaying it.
yeah, and then uh, the year that I worked with them on that tour, yeah, we did it. It was in the set every night, So, but I love that song. It's got a beautiful, the sentiment of it. It's just an example of a great lyrical content, and it's sort of some lyrics really just get to me. It was uh, the chorus part of it. I don't remember the verse, but if I could change the world, I would be the sunlight in your universe. I mean, what a thing to say to someone. It's getting me right now. I'm getting choked up thinking what a beautiful thing to say to another person.
I agree. It's all positive and all you, and whatever
And
I
it's
can give, I would give.
universal, being the sunlight in your universe. My God. Wow. Anyway.
There's a vocalist / writer that every once in a while, and what I understand is he doesn't really write lyrics to mean something, but somehow they always end up. And there's a line about a smile as wide as the ocean, and I just love the imagery of it. Anyway, we're here to talk about you, and I want to know you seem to be drawn to percussionists, and when you want to write something, when you want to record it in particular, how do you pick up your phone and decide between Will Calhoun, Vinnie Colaiuta, and Terry Bozzio? Like, that you have their numbers. You could call any of them and say, do this. Like, how do you pick? You work with the greats.
Well, that's very kind. Again, I think the song itself will tell you like who might be into doing it and who could really do it really well. Yeah, so that's really good. Again, it's another case of the song giving you it's sort of telling you everything if you just spend enough time with it. Tells you everything, and so that's a big clue. Like the nature of the song will go, Vinny would just kill this, he'd eat it for breakfast, or so and so would have a kind of different take on it. But again, that's another. I'm very blessed in my life, professionally and personally, to have access to so many really high quality musicians that will work with me.
I would love to go through the list of names, but I can't. There's not enough time. I thought about listing off just the highlights of your career, and I'm like, just what he's done solo with people is as impressive as what you've done with other people that people might know instantly. Just you're, and I think it's more. Obviously, there's luck, but your work ethic for your entire life has been off the charts. Nobody said otherwise. It's just you're dependable. It gets done. It's amazing. And that's why I'm so happy to have you here. And so thank you. It's been amazing. I was on Reddit trying to do some research, and they were talking about nicknames that the E Street Band and everybody Bruce works with gets, but nobody knew nicknames that you had.
Good. Thanks very much.
Confirmed. We can move on. Let's do this.
Happy to hear it.
I was like, I'm going to interview him. I'm going to ask, but I don't push.
I mean, no. I'm. Who did we all have nicknames at one point? I don't
and
know.
Some of them changed apparently.
Well, okay. Here's a nickname I remember, and he's sort of famous for this one, but he's in print as Vinny Lopez in the E Street Band, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
Okay. That was his nickname for sure. But I don't remember, Bruce didn't didn't get called the boss until many years after that.
Yeah.
I don't know how that came up, but that was not a thing when I was around there. But no, I don't remember.
Do you know if he liked it when it happened? I'm curious. Like people start calling him boss. He's like, stop that.
Say it again.
Did he enjoy the nickname or did he push back on it?
I don't know. I don't think I think he just accepted it. I don't think he pushed back too hard. Okay. If he would have pushed back seriously, they would have stopped calling him that. It would have been over.
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
True.
But, he's pretty decisive, but I think he appreciated it to the level that it was expressed, and then that's kind of, that's it.
When one other thing I was looking up is Wikipedia, and I am pretty sure that you sat in with Paul Schaefer several times on David Letterman's Late Night Band. Did that happen? Can you confirm? Because they can't find any verification in print or anywhere that you did.
Well, it wasn't several times. It was one time.
One time.
And the time that it was, I'm just changing my screen here. The time that it was I was with Sting. It was a stop on a tour. It had to be the early 90s. I'm trying to remember which record. Maybe it was Tin Sumner's Tales. It might have been that, or it might have been Soul Cages. Anyway, Sting was we were the musical guest, and he was doing a couple of, sketches, in the thing. And so we were also, so we were the musical guests. So we had to do, and I think the song was called Mad About You that we did. I don't remember if we did two songs or one. But anyway, the idea was for us to interface with the band, with Paul Schaefer and the band. So it was myself and Dominic Miller and Vinny. And it was just like, okay, you guys are just make one sort of band now. And that was it. We had one rehearsal and sort of worked it out. I think it's a funny thing about this, and no disrespect to anybody, but to tell it truly, I remember Paul being a bit annoyed because I think he wanted to do more. And we were sort of on autopilot at that time in the sense of like, okay, well, we know how this song goes. We know where all the parts are, and we're just going to.
We practiced it this way.
Yeah, and I think he was interested in having more of a, okay, well, you don't play that and I'll play it kind of situation. Whereas we just ended up all playing it. We played what we were used to playing, and they also, joined on top of it situation. But I think it was it. And that was just a brief, moment to where like, okay, well, you guys are going to play like you're going to play, and we'll just join in. But that was there was never another night or evening that, I was, or as an individual, or we were as part of Sting, part of that. We played Saturday Night Live a couple of times.
I did that. You actually have an IMDb credit for it too.
That was great fun. That was really, really good fun. We did it a couple times, and good memories of that.
I'm going to actually go look those up.
Zaz here. Just a quick question. What place would you like to go back and play again? Like I was going to take some audience questions if we had a moment, but one of those thoughts is like every place seems to be unique in their own way, own vibe. I remember like Austin, going there for the first time, and that just feeling hits you like a brick wall when you watch just the energy of going from each place to play. Each place like has its own unique like energy to it. For you, like, I mean, obviously you've played everywhere. Is there any place you could bring back to, for that feeling, or along those lines? Where's your favorite place to play?
I don't know. I don't have a favorite. There's some really comfortable places to play big shows. Like, I really like playing at Red Rocks. That's
my gosh. Yeah.
That's a very cool venue. I played that a few times with a couple different artists, but it's, stuff like that, to where that's physically a fascinating place, the whole thing is like a cave underground and everything, and the stage audience is great. So that's a good one. I like playing festivals in Europe in the summertime. I have great memories of playing it, like in Italy, for example.
And what makes it more unique and stand out? Italy festivals.
It's the place itself. It's the place, and there's probably no more enthusiastic live audience on the planet than a bunch of Italians who've showed up to see their favorite artist. It's just outrageous. It's really great.
That's awesome. When you were touring with Sting and Peter Gabriel, was the decision just to leave you on stage the whole time?
The joint tour?
Yeah, like you're the one person throughout both bands, right?
No, God, man, there's a funny backstory to that.
Please.
Should I tell it?
Yes, I think you want to.
There was a little bit of confusion at the beginning of putting that together. And it ended up that I ended up see, because there was another thing. I got to tell the story right because it's not the Sting Paul Simon situation, which was a whole other bunch of stories, but the Sting Peter Gabriel, putting that together. At the beginning, there was confusion because, and I was going to do, yeah, they were going to do something like just leave me on stage for the whole time. But it got confused between what they were going to do about Manu Katché and Vinny. And it went from a sort of confused state to it became now who actually clarified it for us was a tour manager who's passed away now. His name was Billy Francis, legendary tour manager who worked with like Led Zeppelin, Paul McCartney, all kinds of people, the Police originally or so. And he was our tour manager back then in those days. And I met him in '90 when we started doing the Soul Cages tour. But Billy actually was part of sorting it out. So no, I didn't get left on stage the whole time. It was gonna be like that, but the way that it worked out ended up okay. And it gave everybody enough time to sort of, enjoy everybody else, but still be a part of it. I remember the sound check when here was an example of like, okay, we're all here all at once now, because it was on certain songs. So Shock the Monkey, okay. When I did the previous tours with Peter, I used to play, he had me play acoustic guitar on I think the last tour or the one before, but I wasn't playing, it was like he had an acoustic version of it. And I was playing acoustic guitar on it, and Dave Rhodes was playing electric. And then we had a couple of versions, and of course there was a version where I'm playing, keyboards on it. But on this version, on that together, so here's Vinny Colaiuta's drumming. He had Peter had his other drummer, who's forgive me, I can't remember, Jed. I can't remember his last name. Who's really good. So that's really like two bands at the same time, two drummers, two keyboard players, a Dominic's playing guitar, and we worked out this wicked, really funky version of Shock the Monkey between what Vinny was playing and what Peter's percussionist was playing. It was cool. So, it just took a little bit of organizations. It was not, so it didn't become cluttered, but it was definitely conversation and just figuring out who's doing what when,
Yeah. No, I mean, just when I heard about that, I'm like, well, you were so instrumental with both of their careers at that point. Like, it's like they were fighting over, like, no, I want him here. Like, let's just leave him up there. Just put him up there and go to work.
No, that was really nice. There was a period where I was sort of ping-ponging back and forth between working with Sting in the studio and touring, and then also doing live stuff with Peter and doing some touring stuff with him. It was good.
What do you prefer, studio or touring or writing?
They're very different. I don't prefer any of them. They're all like their own world, What I like is being able to do all of them,
Right.
I wouldn't like to just write and never tour. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like to just do studio sessions and never write, or whatever. So no, it's like they're each their own
world to enjoy.
Own world to enjoy, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't really expect an answer to that because the way you talk about them, like there's a smile in every step, like I pick up a guitar or a keyboard. But
yeah,
when you write, what do you usually reach for first? You just sit down, like I'm going to go to my creative space, glockenspiel, accordion.
I usually keep, I have a small studio here, and in my studio I've got my favorite keyboard, my Montage 88 fantastic weighted synthesizer action. I've got a great console and everything. I've got several computer systems all interfaced together. But I'll always sort of keep a guitar in the living room most of the time. So even if I'm not plugged into anything, or if it's acoustic, I'll just maybe grab it just because I just want to play it, and the TV will be on in the background. My wife, yeah, exactly. She might be on the sofa, like reading the newspaper or doing something, or in the kitchen fiddling around. And I'll just grab it and just, just play it, and just for the joy of touching it, kind of thing. Maybe something comes out, but I'll never sit down with an idea. Okay, when I pick this thing up, when I put it down, I want to have a solid idea. No, it's for you. It's like almost, if you weren't there, you missed it. Whatever came out, and if it's memorable enough for you to then take it somewhere and do something else, but it's just sort of not about that. It's almost like, it's like, it's almost like giving your partner a hug, just because they were standing around.
I love that.
Doing anything special. It's just, just here's
what you do. It's your comfort. I like it. What's the instrument that you have owned the longest?
If I didn't have to go up and go into another room and get it, I could show it to you. But it is a Stratocaster. It's a Fender Stratocaster with a maple neck, and I got it in the early '80s, and I got it through Eric Clapton's guitar tech at the time. Yeah, at the time. What was his name? Oh, he's legendary in my mind. Anyway, I got it because I was working with this Italian singer named Zucchero. And Zucchero was very popular in Italy and Europe, in Spain and France and everything. Zucchero could fill the same kind of rooms that Sting and Peter Gabriel were playing in at that time.
Was that pop music?
Italian pop, yes.
The vocalist I referred to earlier, Mike Patton, did a show of Italian pop tunes. That's why I know that name. He learned Italian, moved to Italy, and did a show of doing 8 Italian pop songs.
He's
okay.
huge.
Sorry, I just said
no, but that's the guy. So, and I had been working with him since like the early '80s, and the way that I began working with him was because I was a session musician on a session. Do you know who Narada Michael Walden is?
No, I do not.
Okay, he's a producer. He used to be the drummer for the Mahavishnu Orchestra. And then what happened was Clive Davis realized that he actually had great producing talents, and he had a great career as a producer. He produced Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, a lot of female, very successful female singers at the time. Anyway, he called me. I used to go to San Francisco about 2 or 3 times a year to do sessions for him as a producer. And Zucchero had this sort of penchant. He did not want to record with Italian musicians. He would fly from Italy to San Francisco and record with American musicians, a lot of African-American, musicians, not exclusively, but. And his producer was an Italian guitarist named Corrado Rustici, who, again, in Italy, you're very famous for producing. So we did this record, and it led to, he kept calling me to do other records and stuff. So now we're doing a tour, and he gets asked to be the opening act for Eric Clapton on the English part of Eric's tour. So Eric Clapton is there in Italy at a sound check, and he sees me, I played guitar. Zucchero hired me as a keyboard player, but I always end up, not always, but usually I'll end up getting asked to play guitar in a situation like that. So he knew I played guitar because I played guitar in Santana on the tour I did with the album I did back here. Anyway, so out of this whole set, I think I played guitar on like 2 songs. And now Eric has just come down to Italy. I think we're playing in like in Sicily somewhere. And it's outside, summertime, Italy, beautiful, great weather. And he's just checking us out. He's backstage, and we're doing our set. And he came up to me. He said, "Man, really, I like, like how you sound. And great. It's great that you're playing guitar in this." And so then we get to England, and his technician came to me and he said, "Hey, look, if you're interested in getting another instrument, I can hook you up from the factory." So what he did was, his name was Lee Daniels, I think his last name was. I said, he said, "What would you like?" I said, "I really like Stratocasters because that's what Jimmy played. Jimi Hendrix was absolutely my guitar looking, guru. And I'd like a Stratocaster with a maple neck." and like a white one if you can get it, because that was Jimmy's, that's the guitar I associate him with most, especially in the later years. And that's what he was able to get for me. It wasn't like hard white. It was a kind of very pale yellow, kind of whitish, but it had a maple neck and everything. And I have this. I have that to this day. I used it in. So that's. I'm going to say let's go back to 1980, maybe 82, somewhere in there.
Good year.
So that's the oldest instrument I've had. And it's my favorite guitar of all time.
That's I love asking that question when I get a chance to. Here's the thing. You're our first professional touring musician. It is so hard to get musicians to come to a talk show. So I'm blown away you're here. So thank you. Because I grew up surrounded by musicians. My brother's a guitar player. My other brother's a guitar player. Music has been in my life, even though I like to say I'm only a vocalist. I'm not a musician. And then somebody corrects me and says, "No, you are." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, hello. Don't say that about yourself. Get out of here. Don't say that. That's ridiculous. Listen, I used that instrument. We put out last November, before the election, the first song on this new project I'm working on called "The Ghost."
That's what I want to go to now. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so if you look at that video, that's the guitar that I'm playing in it. It ends with a guitar solo, and that's the instrument that I'm playing. That same one from 1982, maybe or something.
So I want to talk about the Ghost of Jim Crow, but you have the Open Secret tour that you're just about to get started on, and I want to get the information out there. And you're with Will Calhoun. You're touring East Coast a lot, and I just want let's get the word out, tell people where you're going to be, what they should expect, and what kind of show it's going to be.
It's going to start on the 1st of May. And I know that our first show is in Marlborough, New York. I do not have, you must forgive me, I don't have that whole schedule in front of my face. And if I don't have it, I cannot accurately repeat it. But
sure,
if you go to my website, therealdavidsancious.com.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. All the information is there. It has every tour date, what cities we're in. I know we're in New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont,
New Hampshire. I think you end.
Yeah, exactly. So please go to the site. And so there's information about that, and also how to get tickets. You can get all that information right there. And we're going to have merchandise, of course. We're going to be offering. I just authorized a remaster of my album, first solo piano album from 1981, The Bridge. It's going to be put out by this company, Iconoclastic Records. And my engineer, Robert Fraza, and we just completed a beautiful digital remaster of it. So that's going to be offered for sale as merchandise at the concerts. And also, we'll still have also copies of Eyes Wide Open in vinyl, and plenty of CDs of Eyes Wide Open that we'll be offering at the concerts. And then I think our tour starts on the 1st of May, and I think Iconoclastic Records will be offering the CD, I think, around the same time, the end of April or early May. So you can go timing, yeah. And they did a great job. It's a really nice package, and it sounds fantastic.
Speaking of new releases, there's one that was announced today, and I want to get that at the end because I want people to hear this first. Tell us about the Ghost of Jim Crow. I was fortunate enough to listen to 3 tracks, some bits of tracks. Thanks for sending that along. Blew me away. It spoke to me. This is the kind of music, as you know, like I when I listen to jazz, from some of my references I've dropped, it's eclectic, it's moving, it's experimental in some ways. That's what I got out of what I heard. How would you classify it?
Well, I want to be sure we're not conflating projects, because the Ghost of Jim Crow project, we have the first song got released that last November. It's called Why Must It Be So? Yeah. Okay, that's the first one from that particular project. And then we're about to release the second song from that. I think it's going to end up being like a trilogy. So the second song from that is going to be released next week, and that's going to be called Now We Dream. But we offered 2 examples of the Open Secret Project music, 2 live
Oh,
examples.
I apologize.
No, no worries, no worries. So yeah, you can hear those as well. So that's me and Will live. I
Oh,
think
that's amazing.
that's from 20, let me tell it true, 2019, I think was our first tour on the East Coast. And it's just 2 examples of what we get up to live. But it's amazing. The unique thing about that project is that we do a combination of form and improvisation. So the set will have a couple of songs where, okay, this is a written song. Here's how it starts. Here's what's in the middle. And here's how we want it to end. But a lot of what we do, we sort of compose in real time. It's like improvising with another person on another instrument, but we're doing it right in front of your face. It's like, and I swear to you, the results are incredible.
When
That's
2 people
so,
click.
yeah, it's like that, you know. And I mean, it's the same kind of energy. I grew up listening to people improvise. Like I grew up listening to Keith Jarrett do like solo piano compositions, just stunning music live in front of your face that would sound like, my
Pouring
God,
out.
how
Yeah.
long did it take to rehearse that, you know? And he's doing it. And people like that, Herbie Hancock, Chick, you know, people who can improvise like that in real time. And to be able to do that with another person on another instrument, you know,
Live.
it live is really fantastic. So we just love it, you know. We don't get to do it as much as we'd like to. You know, I live in Hawaii full time now. Here I'm on the island of Kauai, and Will is in Brooklyn, and he's very
Very
busy
different.
with other artists. Yeah, and we've both got other projects going on, but we're very happy to be doing it again, you know. And we record everything live. Every single time we get together is recorded in a great way live. And I think we're going to, excuse me, put something out, you know, towards the end of this year, and you know,
I'll be
see,
looking forward to it.
yeah.
And I might try to find a way to get to one of those shows, because
Oh, please do.
the tracks you did here, I was just like, this is like I wanted more. It was one of those like, yeah, keep going. This is exactly what sticks in my brain, that inspires me.
Yeah.
You're a master improvisationalist, yet you are very intentional with with a lot of the things you do as well. How do you combine those worlds? And like, getting back to the Ghost of Jim Crow, where was the improv and intention in your creation of this set of songs? Like,
There's not that much thinking involved, is the honest answer to that. There's not that much thought. There's not that much in terms of the project itself. It flew into my head one day. I knew that I had a couple of songs, and I wanted them to be vocal songs, or they were already vocal songs in process or something. And I knew that I wanted to address this kind of energy that we're going through now with what's going on with the administration, with people being basically trying to, like, you know, write Black people out of history, you know, physically. There's portraits of people
physically
being taken down in federal buildings, people who served and who did this and that and all kinds of, you know, nonsense. So I knew that I wanted to have an overarching title. And I swear to you, it just flew into my head one day. And I remember Bruce did an album years ago called The Ghost of Tom Joad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I know the name. It was not in my lexicon then, that's for sure.
It's a solo album. It's not an E Street Band album. It's Bruce on his own, being very, very serious. And the title of it, I encourage you to check it out. It's called The Ghost of Tom Joad. Now, Tom Joad was a figure around the era of the Great Depression in America. So it all goes into that whole period of time when things were really, really hard for working people, and the things that Woody Guthrie was singing about. Anyway, so it's a very deep album.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I was sitting around and it just flew into my head like the ghost of Jim Crow, because we're entering into an era where something that not that everyone thought that we had dealt with all
We
of Jimmy.
fixed it.
No, we didn't fix it, but it was certainly sort of suppressed and contained, and
Hopefully going away, we could see a future. Yeah.
exactly. So I thought, yeah, great, that'll do, and then everything came from there. So that is the one. I think the third song, the next one, I'm really getting ahead of myself because we're talking about stuff that the people haven't heard the second one yet, which I just finished last night, and we're
Wow.
sending.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I'm about a week behind on it. I was hoping to have it finished and you have a chance to hear it before our conversation, but that's me being done. But
No, I probably would have screwed it up anyway.
no, it's a bad job.
This is your song from 1970. It sounds so new.
Oh, but the final track I think is going to be the title track, and that is definitely. It's almost like a really wicked. It's like a hip hop sounding track, but it's very very heavy, and lots of guitar, lots of really really rude electric guitar, very blue, um, funky beats, heavy, and I'm talking about lyrically. I'm talking about all the stuff that's we're seeing in the news every day right now. All these insane efforts to dismantle a structure, these efforts to damage people who don't need to be damaged by these changes, to take away goods and services and things that people rely on to live, to keep a roof over their head and be healthy and all that.
To take care of others, even.
Yeah, you could just say that it's seriously not anti-Trump, it's way anti-Trump, but it's anti the negativity, it's anti the idea that we need to have a society wherein so many people are being damaged and only the wealthiest people who don't give a flying fish about the price of eggs
We can say fuck here.
or whether they're paying $2,000 more for their the next car they choose to buy. And the thing that bothers me most about it all is really this: these people, these inept, incompetent people, beyond being like the most inappropriate people for the job, they are not Americans. They have not taken seriously, or it hasn't taken root in them, what it means to be an American and to live by the laws and the principles of this country that people have fought and died for and continued. You're not American if you can suddenly turn your back on a country that was invaded by Russia on a date certain with cameras rolling. You can't flip that around and say, no, Ukraine was the aggressor. It's your fault now.
Yeah.
What is that? Excuse me. Donald Trump has become like a Russian agent. It's insane. It's obviously Putin has had the goods on him since day one. All right. It makes no sense for him to behave that way. It's an embarrassment for us as a nation to be represented by someone so reprehensible and so rude. But this is the struggle. This is what we're in now. And it's a fight for decency. It's a fight for the rule of law. Or do we let this guy, most inappropriate, unempathetic, malignant narcissist Donald Trump and his buddy from South Africa with deep roots in apartheid and Nazi leanings come to America and destroy the place? Or do we all say enough is too much? That's it. We will fight you in every level. We'll fight you in the appellate courts, the Supreme Court, on the streets. We'll piss on your stupid car. It's the ugliest thing anybody's ever seen. You couldn't pay me to be seen in that damn thing. You got me going now. Let me just.
No. You know what? That's you're telling us what's in the album as well. And I don't think of course, there are people who disagree with everything you just said.
Of course.
But the one thing that you really started with in a structural thing, people need to remember to be decent to each other. That's what an American is. We love communities. We build communities. We push people together. We find reasons to unite. And I think we've lost a lot of that, be it politics, be it Trump, be it whoever. We need to get back to that. And I think that's what people are reacting to a lot as well. We lost the ability to go say hi to our neighbor. And
yeah,
that's
and
destructive.
that's at the root of it, absolutely. But we also seem to have forgotten why we got into World War II and stopped the most insane and dangerous campaign of all time until Trump comes along. We stopped Adolf Hitler and the Nazi movement to not just extinguish the Jewish population, but to actually take over the whole flippin' planet.
That was
Right?
the goal. Yeah.
So, well, God, look how many people, my father and uncles and everybody fought in the war, and some of them didn't come back the same people, So it's the idea of like, what is that all about? We can't live in this world together and just be, I'm okay and you're not. It's all about America first and everybody suck wind. That is ridiculous. And there was 80 years of a cooperative effort to, okay, World War II is over. We're going to stop all this shit now. Then here's the U.S. and the rest of the world, the Cold War, all that stuff going on. We didn't do all that for it to end up where it is now.
Exactly.
Where suddenly we are, and it's embarrassing to see how Donald Trump and his administration of the most inept people are representing this country. I did not.
Or POWs.
I didn't expect to see that, but I know they're wrong and messed up. But listen, the whole thing is that now this is what we're confronted with. Now is the time more than ever. Whatever you once believed in, it's unfortunate that the Democratic Party lost the election. It's super unfortunate that Donald Trump is in power right now. And you're seeing the effects of that every day. That's not just my personal opinion. It's a fact. Every day that this person remains in power and is able to do the damage that he's doing is not a good thing. But if you believe what you once believed in, you believe in it stronger than ever, and do everything that you can in your own way, in your own life. You might not be an artist, you might not have a lot of money, you might not know what you can do, but take the time and activate yourself, because pushing back against all this wrongness will have an effect. It works. We have to stop it, and we stop it by degrees, but it is definitely a fight, and it's a fight that we're all in, whether we realize it or not. Every one of us are in this because we are all affected by it.
I 100% love what you're saying there, and I just want to it goes back to, you were saying persevere. That's the one thing you could tell yourself if you had 10 minutes. It's the same thing we're telling people now. Believe in what you believe, stick with it, do what is right by each other, like David's told us here. And with that, we have reached our hour, David, and I could talk to you all night long. I really could. There's so much to talk to you about, and I love your convictions. I don't want to end here, but you've given us an hour, and I can't be happier to have met you tonight.
I'm going to cut you off. Can I tell you one more quick event that's coming up very soon?
Yeah, absolutely. So, everything you want to talk about, this is your space.
So on the 3rd of May, there's going to be a presentation in my hometown in Belmar, New Jersey. The Belmar Arts Council has purchased a weatherproof digital piano that will be permanently installed in the town square, and they're dedicating it to myself and my mother and my family. And that's going to be a 2-hour ceremony in the town square of Belmar, New Jersey, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on May the 3rd. And there's going to be some performances. I'm going to play some music. There's going to be some other people who are going to perform. But if you're in the area, come check it out.
Might be a good reason to be in the area. Like, that sounds amazing. And I'm glad your hometown, they're treating you the way you should be. You are a legend. You've changed. I like to think of it like, when you put something out that you're changing lives, you've changed every life in America in some way, and every life in the world in some way. And I believe for the positive, you've inspired people. You've inspired me tonight. You are just a fantastic guest. So thank you so much, David. I loved having you on our show.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciated it. It's wonderful speaking with you.
All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here. Please take care of each other. Have a great night. Be safe. Josh, play us out.
Oh my goodness, that is quite a question. Oh, you are so funny. That is so true. You're like the only person that's ever asked me that question.
I'm really glad that you noticed that you pointed that out.
So I just want to give you a shout out and say it's appreciated.
It's been so fun chatting with you guys. I didn't realize how late it got.
I'll always talk to you guys.
Thanks very much. And again, you guys are super well prepared. You got your act together. I hope you continue to get more viewers. You deserve them.
You guys, you are the first podcast to bring this up, and I'm impressed. I'm really impressed.
Thank you.
Bye.